Hi, I'm Trish. I've been asked about why I chose lap banding over the other kinds of weight loss surgery. Basically, I just put my trust in my surgeon, and she said that that the lap banding would be best for me, so I went with that. I was lap banded through the Alfred Hospital in Melbourne, and prior to being banded, I went to like a weight loss information night, like a seminar type thing, and they went over all of the different forms of weight loss surgery. So I'd pretty much already decided that I was going to have lap banding as well. Just so many different reasons. There is a very high complication rate with lap bands, but for the most part, they're not as serious as the complications of other forms of weight loss surgery. To me, anyway. I mean, everyone will be different. I can only say how I feel about it. I should probably go over the main types of weight loss surgery. There's three main types. I mean, there's plenty of other kinds, but the three main types are lap banding, sleeve and bypass. Now, because I don't want to, I can't go and just steal photos off the internet and post them up on here, so I drew my own pictures, and I am not an artist. So, here is my drawing of bypass surgery. I hope it's clear enough. This is the esophagus, or the food pipe. That's where your food goes down into your stomach. Now you can see this is where the stomach was. And these are not to scale. Probably don't even really look like this inside your body, but this is the best I can do. So that's where your normal stomach normally is. And then here is your duodenum, where it goes down into your small intestine and then gets digested and eventually comes out the other end. Now, with a bypass, they cut off the stomach here, but they don't cut it off and take it out of the body. All of this bit here stays inside your body. So that's why it's essentially why it's reversible. So then when a person who is bypassed eats, the food comes down the esophagus and into their little pouch, and then it goes directly into their small intestine, bypassing the stomach and the duodenum. And then the duodenum further down here joins onto the small intestine. And that is so that, because the stomach, even though the stomach has been cut here, it'll still produce gastric juices, which is what we need to digest our food. So then the gastric juices, and there's also bile that comes from the gallbladder that comes into the duodenum that digests fats. All those gastric juices can go down here and they just enter the small intestine at a later point, instead of all of that digestion happening in the stomach. So that bypass works, from my understanding, and I'm not a surgeon, so no one attack me if I get this wrong, works with this little bit of restriction here, so you can only eat tiny amounts, and also because all of this is being bypassed, and this is the area where nutrients are absorbed into the body. I mean, that's what your intestine does and your stomach does. It absorbs nutrients. So by bypassing all of this, there is to quite a large degree, malabsorption going on. So that's how your bypass works. That didn't appeal to me. I didn't like the idea of losing weight through malnutrition. To me, although I felt the same way about lap banding, it's really just medically sanctioned anorexia, really. But yeah, the bypass I found to be a really extreme option. That to me would be like, okay, well, if I had the lap band and it didn't work, and then I got sleeved and that didn't work, then I would go for bypass. It's like a last resort, and to me it was a very serious surgery, and so much could go wrong. You know, there could be leaks, and you know, that could lead to like months in hospital, and I didn't want that. I found it very, very frightening. You also can get things like dumping syndrome. From my understanding, from what I've read and what I've heard people talk about, is dumping syndrome. It's pretty awful. You get lots of gastrointestinal symptoms. You get diarrhea, and from what I'm understanding, almost like instant diarrhea. So like if you're out at the shops and you eat something that even that you've eaten previously, and it doesn't agree with you, you've got to find a toilet really, really fast. And one of the most common things I've heard people who've been bypassed saying is never trust a fart. That to me is terrifying. I would die if that happened to me, and I would die if I was sitting here at home by myself and that happened. So definitely not for me. Also, I don't have a lot of money, and if you get bypassed, you've got to take, like, from my understanding, because of all the malabsorption issues, you've got to take a lot of vitamins, like, forever. And a lot of people also need regular B12 injections. I'm not a fan of injections, so... well, it depends on the injection. B12 injections, they don't appeal to me either. Also, from the reading I read that the initial weight loss is really, really good, but that people who are bypassed lose the most amount of weight, but they are also the most likely to regain it because the pouch can stretch and then they can eat more and then, the weight regain. Now, I don't know if that's true, but at the time... that's what I'd read. And then we come down to sleeve gastrectomy. I think it's what they used to call in the olden days stomach stapling. I'm not 100% sure. And I did think about that, but it seemed a little bit too permanent for me. Like they actually remove part of your stomach. It's another one of my excellent drawings. Here's your esophagus, your food pipe. That's the normal part of the stomach, and then your duodenum where it goes down to the small intestine. Now with a sleeve, they cut off through there where that dashed line is, and they remove all that part of your stomach. So you're just left with this tiny little stomach here, like a little banana essentially. This part of the stomach, they take it away. They take it out of your body and they throw it in the bin. It's gone forever. That's not reversible. So if you get sleeved and it doesn't work for you, it's permanent. So that really didn't appeal to me either. I found that a bit scary. And I think the surgeons didn't think I was suitable for a sleeve. There's some rules or something where people, depending on how they eat, as to what sort of surgery is going to be better for them. And I won't comment on that because I'm not 100% sure what the rules are, but apparently I didn't fit that criteria. Also, with getting sleeved, the surgical complication or the risks of surgical complications frightened me a bit. Mainly the possibility of a leak, and even leaking like a long time after being sleeved, and that really frightens me. So I didn't want to be sleeved for that reason as well. Plus, I had also read that you can lose really good weight with the sleeve, but then the leftover stomach over time can stretch, leading to you being able to eat more and regain weight. So that didn't appeal to me either. Now, there's also other kinds of weight loss surgery. There's duodenal switch, and there's biliopancreatic diversion, and they're all much too confusing for me. So I won't even go into those. You can research those on your own. And there's also like mini bypass. I don't even know what that is. And there's another one where they get a balloon and they put it in your stomach and they blow it up, so it just like takes up room in your stomach so that less food can fit in there. And apparently they only leave it in there for like a limited amount of time, and then they have to remove it. But they hope that you'll have lost your weight in that time. That seems really stupid. It just sounds like another diet. And then as soon as the balloon's gone, you're just going to eat yourself to back up to what you were. So that seemed a bit silly. And the surgeons weren't real keen on that either. They had the same opinion that they would just regain the weight again. Which brings me to lap band. My final beautiful picture for you. Again, the esophagus going down to the stomach, and the duodenum where the food goes down into the small intestine. Now with a lap band, they put a silicone band just around the top portion of your stomach. So they're leaving everything in there. They're not taking anything out. So they put this band around the top of your stomach, and then from that band there's tubing, like plastic tubing or silicone tubing, whatever it's made out of. That tubing goes down to the port. Now that's just a little, it's only about that big, it's pretty small. And they stitch that onto your abdominal muscles, just, mine's just left of centre under my ribs. I'll show it to you. Well, I can't show it because I doubt that you'll be able to see it. You can only see it when I lay down. But it's just, you see that's my belly button. See this scar across here? You might not be able to see it. My port, because that's where they cut me open to do the main part of the surgery and put the port in. My port is just up here. Just this like hard little button, and it's not sore, it's fine. And that's where they do adjustments with a needle. Just straight through there, and it doesn't hurt. Yeah, so that band that they put around the top part of your stomach makes like a smaller stomach up here. I sort of think of it as having two stomachs. I've got my little mini stomach up there which holds about a half a cup, I've been told, and then the band, it's like they're about that big, and on the inside it's got like these little bubbles, and when they adjust it, they fill those little bubbles with saline, and depending on how much saline they put in, it adjusts how tight the band is. So if you don't have very much saline in, you know, like it'll be a bit bigger, but then as they fill it more, it restricts and makes a smaller hole. So when the food goes down your esophagus and into your stomach, or into that initial pouch at the top, to pass through to the bottom part of your stomach, it's got a much smaller hole. When a normal person eats that doesn't have a lap band, the food, in very simplistic terms, goes down your esophagus and then it goes through. There's actually a sphincter at the top here that opens and closes to allow food to pass through. In a normal person, essentially, in very simplistic terms, the food just comes down here and just drops into your stomach. When you have a lap band, the food comes down here and it sits in here for a little while. And I'm not sure how long, maybe about 30 seconds, I'm not really sure. Sits in there for a little while and it just sort of trickles through the little opening that's in there. I've read a lot about how the lap band works, and my conclusion is that no one really knows how it works. There seems to be a lot of different theories. I think it just helps you to feel fuller quicker because the food is pushing against the walls of your stomach more, so then it sends the message to your brain that you're fuller. And also, if you've got a tiny little pouch like this, you know, like a half cup size compared to, you know, all that rest of that big massive stomach, you are going to feel fuller quicker. And it also restricts how fast you can eat. I have to eat very slowly, which drives people crazy when they go out to eat with me. And it restricts a lot of the foods that I shouldn't be eating anyway, like bread. I can't eat, I can eat stodgy white bread, but I have to eat it very, 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 very slowly, and I have to really chew, and then if my band's too tight, it just doesn't happen. And that's another reason that I chose the band, is that it's adjustable. You can adjust how much saline you have put into the band and adjust the tightness of it. I'm not really in my sweet spot at the moment. It's a little bit too tight. I'm having a little bit of trouble eating, but you know, that's something that the surgeon can sort out when I go back and see him next time. He will take just a tiny little bit of fluid out and I'll be fine. I like the idea of the lap band as well because it's reversible. The surgeons, when I went to the seminar, they said that the lap band was a good idea because it's reversible. If later on down the track, you know, in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years' time, if something better is invented for weight loss, and I want to do that instead, I can have my lap band removed and go with the new option. So that was quite appealing to me as well. As I've found out since then, they're not quite as reversible as what they're made out to be, because you can get a lot of adhesions and a lot of problems and whatever, but in simplistic terms, it is reversible. And then you can, it means that you can, convert to other kinds of surgery after that as well. Now, there is a very high complication risk with lap band. But the complications were more acceptable to me, even though there are more of them and you're more likely to have complications with a lap band. They were much more acceptable to me than with other forms of weight loss surgery. You know, the main sort of complications you can get is a band slipping. You can develop a pouch. You can have erosion, which can actually get very, very serious. But to my way of thinking, even erosion isn't as scary as a leak. So when I got the band, I got it knowing that probably at some point down the track I would need some kind of revisional surgery, whether that be, you know, because my port broke or moved, or, you know, the pouch, I got a pouch or whatever. So that was acceptable to me. Also, from the reading I did, with the lap band, the initial amount of weight lost wasn't as great as that with a sleeve or a bypass, but long term, the maintenance of the weight, or the incidence of regaining weight was a lot less. Now I don't know if those stats are still true. People, from what I've been reading, people seem to be steering away from lap banding and going more with bypass and sleeve. I've got no regrets with my lap band, and I have had problems with it. I'm still having problems with it. I get a lot of pain, but, you know, I'm in the process of getting that worked out. But never at any point have I wished that I'd got sleeved or bypassed instead. You know, and you know, later on the track, if I do have complications and I do need to be sleeved instead, or I do need to switch to bypass or whatever, then, you know, I'm okay with that. That's fine. For now, the lap band is my friend. It's working for me. I've had amazing success with it, so I'm happy with the choice I made. But, you know, sure, listen to what I have to say about it, but talk to your doctor about it. Do all your own research and decide what's best for you. Okay. So that's it for now.